Hey Bat fans, Luke here, ready to Bat chat about another Bat book, and today we're going to go a little modern. The past couple videos I've been doing, that kind of been like the throwback, old trades that not too many people talk about. And yeah, like I said, we're going to get a little modern, but this one's Batman Kings of Fear. This was a 6-issue miniseries that came out, I think it was toward the latter portion of 2018. And I was really kind of excited when this title was announced, and the mainly reason is Kelly Jones. Kelly Jones, I have uh, a weird like for him, and here's why. Um, Going back with Kelly Jones, it's just really nostalgia for me. Going back, he did the art for like the Batman, the Red Rain, Elseworld stories, and he came out. He did the like a lot of the covers during the Nightfall time period. Then he actually was on the creative team on the Batman title shortly after the beginning part of Nightfall, I think, and then most recently, it was after the fact actually, but he had Daphne Byrne, one of the Black Label books, and one of the reasons why I like his art style, it's very, number one, it's unique. If you see a some art by Kelly Jones, you're gonna instantly recognize, yeah, that's Kelly Jones. And but as I say, it's really nice. I mean, it's really detailed. It gets again, it's very unique. And I think he does his own pencils too. I could be wrong on this one. Um, yeah, I think he does his own inks too. And it's an awesome art style. But there's one thing. It's just every time I see it, it's like I'm sure we all seen like the fingers on the chalkboard, or when the Final Nightmare and Freddy's dead. He's got Carlos, and he's getting his finger, and he's just like scratching his finger up against the chalkboard to the point where Carlos's head explodes. That's almost a lot of my reaction sometimes when I see Kelly Jones' Batman, only because of one thing, and it's just one thing: the ears. Totally disproportional. Now I'm ragging on it a little bit, and I get it. It's the style. It's really good aesthetically, and it's pleasing. It's just the one thing I just, for some reason, I just have trouble kind of getting past that. It's just, boy, those ears. But anyway, so I was really excited for this one, and I did get the singles on this. This is another one I double dipped on, but I kind of held off on reviewing it during the single issues. I was thinking about doing it when it came out, but I kind of held off on it. Mainly because when I read like the first 2 issues, it just felt kind of disjointed to me a little bit, and I was like, maybe this will read a little bit better in trade, and I'll kind of go back to it and kind of reflect on it some more. And yeah, reading this in trade, it's a lot better. So, going in the back, there's one little quote that kind of stuck out to me just a little bit. This is by Denny O'Neil. Rest in peace, good man. His quote here is, "I never encountered a stronger Scarecrow story in any medium." Much respect to Denny O'Neil. Don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, in the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, I did like the reoccurring appearance of Scarecrow, Jonathan Crane. Story-wise, I'm definitely kind of like on my own on this one. This is like my favorite Scarecrow story, and it was during the Batman the Dark Knight series, during the New 52. Not too many people like that series, and this is where I think the series actually got a lot better, to be perfectly honest. And this one, Greg Horowitz came on. This is kind of like the origin-ish story of Scarecrow in the New 52. This is really good. I did a review on this one way back. It's in my video library. You can check it out. It's really well done. So if you're looking for a good, somewhat modern Scarecrow story, this will be one I recommend. This is one of my favorite Scarecrow stories out there. But yeah, Batman Kings of Fear. Talk a little bit about it. What happens in the story is that you open up, and basically the Joker is leading a gang, and Batman goes to take him out. Little mixed emotion on the Joker part in here, because I think they just threw the Joker part and being part of the story to kind of generate interest. So yeah, take it for what it is. But what happens when Batman brings the Joker into Arkham Asylum? There's actually an Arkham Asylum breakout. We've seen that quite a few times. Ironically, Nightfall, Arkham breakout, Kelly Jones, it connects. So they break out, and Scarecrow actually escapes, and he takes a hostage with him, and he actually gasses Batman. And he basically makes not really a proposition, and he's kind of dangling the hostage in front of Batman, saying, if you want this hostage freed, I have to follow you around, and he's going to kind of like do a diagnosis on Batman. And it's basically the story is Batman going through Gotham, doing what he's doing, and Scarecrow is kind of observing him, but all the while he's kind of hitting him with this new Scarecrow toxin that he's developed. And throughout the story, you'll see parts where Batman is okay, but then when he gets hit by that new Scarecrow toxin, he kind of goes in and out of some hallucinations. And one thing you'll see a lot in this theme in this story is something that is sort of a knock a little bit, but it's something we've seen a lot. It's what would happen if there was no Batman? And it's actually a part in the story where you'll see what Gotham would have been like if Batman wasn't there. It actually shows, kind of reminds me a little bit of the Detective comic story, Gothopia, a little bit. But you actually see, let me see if I can get to it. You actually see kind of like a real thriving Gotham. And the part to it is that it also goes into this other trope a little bit, is does the Batman Rogues Gallery, if there was no Batman, would they be what they are? And you actually see here Scarecrow kind of throws out the, hey, in this vision you're seeing, look, like the Riddler is doing good things. You'll see Harvey Dent is actually a really good district attorney, and Pamela Isley's actually being a really good scientist. Riddler's actually being a really good video designer. There's one person that just kind of just doesn't change. It's the Penguin. He basically says, the Penguin's just a dick. And he's always going to be a dick. Sorry for language, but and the Joker actually kind of helps the police actually profile insane people. And then that was a nice little touch, I guess, but again, it's one that we've seen a lot. And what basically happens toward the end of the story is that Batman kind of overcomes the Scarecrow toxin and takes down Scarecrow, and kind of wraps up a little bit with Batman and Alfred kind of having this conversation too, that like, does Alfred really support Bruce being Batman? And initially he's like, no, I don't, but you know what, it's the good that you're doing, I can't overlook that, and then you're making a positive change, and kind of goes from there. So it's, again, kind of Batman going through Gotham, fighting all these hallucinations due to the Scarecrow toxin, the Scarecrow doing his little psychiatric evaluation, kind of go here from there. And it was a simple story, kind of taking it in that perspective. So, kind of going through some of the talking points I want to kind of bring up. First off, the art. The art is fantastic in this. It really is. Scott Peterson gives Kelly Jones a lot of room to really play to his strengths. And you can see panels like this throughout the book, and it's just fantastic. I like this one here. Kind of recounts the interaction Batman and Scarecrow's having, by Batman having his worst encounters. The death of Jason Todd, Nightfall, the laughing fish, with the Joker, and it's really well done, and just the art in this throughout is just great. It's not really dialogue heavy, and it's just a visual medium. I just remember reading this in single issues, and it didn't take long to read each individual issue, but it was eye candy. This is one of those books you read, and it's just like you kind of go more for the eye candy, but you get kind of a good basis of a story as well. The color palette is very dark, and it just plays to Kelly Jones' strength. He's a horror artist, and it just really does a good job of selling that throughout this. And it's just, I can flip through, and it just, you get a whole page splashes like that, and it's just awesome to look at. You do see some Kelly Jones isms a little bit here and there. I mentioned the ears of Batman here and there, and you do see some kind of designs for Scarecrow throughout where dimensions are a little bit off. There's this one panel in particular when Scarecrow shows up, and it just looks like his arm is just really long. And I might be reaching a little bit, but it does kind of stick out a little bit. Yeah, it's right here. I mean, look how long that arm is. It's a little off, but again, I think that's kind of like Kelly Jones's stick. It exaggerates certain part of the physical feature of the characters, and it's a minor nitpick, but man, it's just awesome art. This, I just go back to it. This was a fun read in singles, but when you read this in trade with the art too, the story kind of flows a little bit better. So, talking a little bit about the story, let's talk a little bit about Scott Peterson and what he does in the dialogue in here. It's good. I think he got the characters down pat. Everyone, the villains, Scarecrow for the most part, Batman, obviously, Commissioner Gordon. But he does this a couple times throughout in this where the dialogue, Scarecrow kind of makes some cracks where it's like, is he the Joker or is he Scarecrow sometimes? So the sarcasm a little bit kind of was really, really thick. And while I said I thought he got the Scarecrow character down pretty tight, there's a couple times where, not really. There's one little, and I mentioned this before, contrivances, I don't really bash contrivances too far. As long as I'm enjoying the story, I kind of go, whatever, it kind of is what it is. But there's one where it's just, I just had trouble kind of looking past it because it was just like, wow, that just came out of nowhere. So the way Batman actually finds a way to defeat the Scarecrow toxin in this, the Scarecrow gas, the fear toxin. That's what I meant to say. Jeez, whew, fumbling. He's in this. I think it's like toward the very end of the story, and he's having a battle with Scarecrow, and there just happens to be, man, the art in this is just great. 3 valves. They're kind of like the cure to the toxin that just happen to be on the floor. It's right there. So he's finding them, and then he just happens to have the valves for it. And it's kind of implied that the hostage, which there is somewhat of a twist with the hostage and whether or not the person was innocent or not, but he kind of just happened to have, the antidote to the toxin. I was just like, oh man, that's kind of cheap. But again, I think I'm kind of reaching a little bit because I really don't want to detract too much from the fact this was just fun. Fun story. There's a nice little character moment between Batman and one of the medical staff in Arkham, where you open up in the beginning part of the story and it's just, the medical staff. It's like kind of get the stick of like Doctor Arkham. I'm having trouble on his first name. Kind of has that stick like why you always come here, cause trouble. And when you get this interaction with this other medical staff toward the end of the story, you think it's going to be that same type of thing. But she mentions the fact that, I'm actually glad you're here. So I want to thank you because, doing what you do, there's a lot of positive too. You actually saved my life. There's actually an encounter she had with some criminals, which Batman saved. But then he also indirectly saved her husband. And in doing so, kind of reformed his life a little bit. Now he's a better person. Now they have this great child. And it was just, you can kind of see the trickle down effect of the good that Batman can do throughout. So there's a lot of good kind of character points throughout the story that was good. And while you might see, again, the Arkham Asylum breakout, would Gotham be better without Batman, or would the Rogues Gallery be what they are if Batman was there? So you see things that's like, yeah, we've been down that road before, but still overall, it was a good story. So all in all, recommendation on this, I'm actually going to give this a 3.75 out of 5. And the fact that we're definitely not treading new ground in here, but still a fun story to look at, great eye candy. Some good themes throughout, even though, again, they're not original, but it played well. Again, I just go back to the art. It's fun to read and it's fun to look at. So I was really going to give it like a 4, but I kind of backed it down a little bit. Highly recommend you getting this trade for its fun. This is a fun story. If you read this in singles, if you don't got the trade, I recommend take all the singles, read it again. Read it from start to finish, and this will actually make a lot more sense and will actually flow a lot better. It's fun, but again, a lot of things, to go back to when I was reading this in singles, it just felt a little desynchronized a little bit, but one that definitely reads better in trade. So this is a hardcover, and it's fun. So anyway, 3.75 out of 5 with a highly recommend grab. I think if you read this, you'll enjoy it. It's definitely worth your while. So anyway, hit me up in the comments below if you read this book. We'll definitely bat chat about this one. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about. And again, I hope I didn't sit there and just think I was come across as really ragging on Kelly Jones with the Batman ears. That's his signature. I get it. It's just sometimes I have trouble getting past it, but I guess I gotta work on that. So anyway, hit me up in the comments below. We'll bat chat and kind of go from there. So anyway, looking at another book to do. Maybe crank that in the next couple of days. I'm on a roll. It's good to be back here bat chatting, and then we'll kind of go from there. So until next video, take care.